Hello, I'm Brent Farris from the Birdman Studios, and I'm here to tell you about coming up with game ideas. So, games, yes, game ideas. So, one thing that most people have trouble with that start making games, usually in the beginning, it's very hard because the ideas are way too grand, and then later on, the ideas are too hard because you don't know how to scale them down properly. So, in this one, I was going to talk about coming up with game ideas. You'll see a bunch of games over here on the right hand side that represent something. Um, and you'll notice that there's only one indie game up there, which is Minecraft. And sorry about that, indie guys, but I'm trying to prove a point here. When we try to come up with a game idea, when we barely start, we say, I like Battlefield. I want a game like Battlefield. Or I like Zelda. I want a game like Zelda. Or I like Minecraft. I want a game like Minecraft. I like Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft or Forza Motorsports or Call of Duty. Um, that's what I like, and I want to make a game uh, like that. That's usually how we come up with an idea. We think of something we like, this big game, and we say, I want to make that. Um, and that's a very difficult angle to come by because you have, first of all, picked a enormous game, and you're probably going to be working by yourself. Um, you can say, well, oh wait, Minecraft did it. There was only one guy. Well, it took him a year to get started through his alpha stage, which was nothing like Minecraft. He had a big following. He was in communities, and you know, he was kind of built up and poised for this perfect thing, as well as the game being great, of course. And before that, he's done tons of games. You'll find, the internet riddled with some of the games he did before. It was not his first idea or anything, and he came across something and really ran with it. And it took him a lot of time and a lot of work, and people often look at it and try to copy it, even AAA or not AAA, but I guess I'd call them AA. They have lots of money and some backing. Even try to copy the style, and a lot of people call it cheap and easy, and that's somewhat unfair because it's they're just looking at the art, and that's what we do with most of our games. Is we look at the art and we say that's awesome, um, and a lot of us do look at mechanics and we say, oh, that was great mechanics, and we look at story and we say, oh, that was a great story. Um, so everybody wants to make money and addicting. So the first thing they do is they look at AAA titles or big titles that have a story or that's amazing and that has millions of people and makes tons of money. And somehow that's our first thought for what we want to do. So when you come up with game ideas, there is a way that I like to encourage. So I'm going to introduce a way that I think, and that is called mechanics. And as game programmers, if you're not, I'm sorry, you should be because it's amazing. Game mechanics is a great angle to come by whenever you're coming up with a game. Rather than this top-down approach of looking at something that's been out there or looking at what's good on the market, which everybody does, by the way. You're not the first guy to ever, or girl, to ever look at a game on top and be like, oh, that game's on top, I could do something similar. Absolutely everybody and their dog and their mother and their gardener are trying to do that, and you are going to get nowhere because, first of all, you're not doing something special. And that's why you're not going to go anywhere. So, when I talk about a ground-up approach, you're looking at things that you like in games, and from my approach is mechanics because I'm a software engineer. I look at mechanics. I look at the cool things that you could do with mechanics, and I'm not just talking about physics simulations such as games like Angry Birds or what have you like that, because you're not writing too many mechanics for those. I'm talking about actual mechanics. You know, how can I use color, or what kind of Boolean switches can I have, or what kind of setups can I use? There's tons and tons of things that I can use to build stuff on top of. I can put anything on top of it. I can come up with a cool switch system where I'm flipping a bunch of switches to do things, and I can build a full 3D environment and make it a AAA game myself. But at the very heart of it, it's a mechanic that people enjoy doing, and it's fun, it's addictive. I mean, that's what games are all about, really, is their mechanics and their gameplay. Whether it's a board game, when you're playing checkers, there's certain mechanics, or chess, there's certain mechanics, or you're playing Zelda, there's certain mechanics, and Minecraft has its own mechanics, but what we enjoy the most is not really the story. People don't play games for story. The ones that they do, they only play it once and they never pick it up again. So I watched a friend play Heavy Rain. I never want to play it because I've seen it. I've played a game. I've played various games that have really great mechanics, and I will play them over and over and over again. And I've played incredible games that have great mechanics and great story, and those games are phenomenal. Not because the story is good with it; it's usually because it's very hard to come up with amazing mechanics that works great in a story. You don't find many games like that. So, mechanics, or let's say a base thing about your game, is a nice area to build up upon. You want to build on a great base, a great kind of, you want to build your house on a great base, not on something that you don't understand or something that you haven't researched. And mechanics are kind of the key component to games. How do people do inputs? The difference between a game and a movie is that you are you the player doing inputs. You're giving the game some information, whether it's a button press or a screen swipe or whatever, and the game executes those commands in a way that has the user controlling what they're doing. They feel like they're a part of the game. Whereas in a movie, you feel like you're a viewer. You don't feel like you're Batman. You may pretend to be Batman later, but that's perfectly fine. But you get to be whoever's in the game, even if they don't look like you. So games are a magical thing. That's kind of. Games are a very magical thing, and you get to be that character in the game. You get to expose yourself to this world. You get to engage in this world, these environments, these characters, and you get to be something. So, first thing I want to say is, if you're coming up with a game idea from a story, get rid of it, unless you have great mechanics. The story, you should backburn it, but you should not base the game off of the story. It's going to be extremely hard for you. And you don't want to make a game that people only play once and put aside. So, games are all about their mechanics. What does the user get to control? How does the user get to play this game? How does the user get to feel like they're in this world and get immersed? So, mechanics are anything from how weapons fire, or maybe how puzzles are done, or how a party system is. The various things that you find very fun in a game, you should build off of those and build up. And Minecraft has been an excellent example. I think, though a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people call it a useless game, and that you don't do anything with it, and there's no goals, the great thing about that sandbox kind of game that Minecraft really taught was that, he's using a bunch of rectangles, a bunch of cubes for his art, because it goes to show you that mechanics really drive the backbone of the game and is the driving force behind why people play games. People didn't look at Minecraft and say, well, that's a stupid game, I'm not going to play it. Unfortunately, some did, I suppose, but there's such a big backing that is great. So art does play a really big role in catching people and getting people in. It's a great marketing role. But if you're making a game, make sure that you focus on the mechanics. It could be the most beautiful, greatest story-driven game that you have ever seen in your life, but as soon as the player sits down and he presses the up button and the guy goes backwards, the player's going to say, He's going to put it down and walk away. So, you want to build your game up from strong mechanics that people enjoy. So that's my. I didn't really type much on here. So that's my my kind of note to you when you're coming up with game ideas. Come up with kind of the base and not the top down. And I may make a couple more videos later about how to come up with bases and some mechanic ideas and stop talking on this high level of mysticism and going down and grinding into what I'm actually thinking of, whether it's a puzzle switch binary system or gun, the way guns are in the game, gravity guns. Think of Portal. That was an excellent mechanic. It was the entire game revolved around the Portal, the Portal gun, the Portal system. If you watch their documentary. If you watch their in-game commentary and stuff like that, you get to, or listen to it, I suppose, you get to really feel what they thought about in this game, and it was mechanics, and it was a great game, and it had a really funny, awesome story. So, well, yeah, I think later I'll make some videos on what I mean by coming up with mechanics, like physical mechanics. But most of you are going to start from this top-down approach like this, where you look at the game and you say, I want to make this, and you're never going to do it, and you're probably never going to finish. It's very rare for people to actually do that. So that's my advice to you. Come from the ground up. Forget about the story. Forget about the art. How is the user going to be entertained by this game? What mechanics are going to drive it? And you can pull that from other games. So thanks again. Talk to you later.